30 minutes of friends talk about everything that matters to women. Welcome to the lounge.
A trip, you tend to test your friendship there. And for me, I think what I wanted from the trip was completely different. And also, it brought up so much. I think back home when we're here, we tend to be super, not really careful, but you're too comfortable with things.
Yes.
But when you're abroad, things get a bit difficult. Like, you might be tense, you might get triggered easily. So the thing is, we were getting triggered easily. We were fighting the whole time, we were arguing. And then when we moved back,
Was it just you and your friend?
Yeah.
And then, like, during the trip, when did you feel like, during the trip, like, when did you feel it was just not working out?
The minute we were at the airport.
Oh
The
my
minute,
God.
yeah, no, they didn't even leave Kuwait.
I bet
Oh
you
my
thought that this is
Yeah.
going to be the longest trip ever.
It
Yes.
was. I was struggling with my life. I was fighting every day. I was like, girl, you're not even my husband. Like, why are you talking to me like I'm your husband? Like, why are you, like, genuinely, we were like a couple. And I was just
How long
confused.
was the trip?
It was for 10 days. It was the longest
Oh, wow.
days of my life.
That's
It was
very
tough.
long.
Wow.
And then when I came back, it was never the same, honestly.
So you're not talking anymore, or are you like
I
talking?
try to talk it out, but I think it's a bit, there's a friction there. So there's nothing,
Definitely.
there's nothing to build up anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can
yeah.
completely relate to her, honestly.
Yes.
I think if you can survive a trip with your friend, it's a forever friendship. But sometimes you can tell that this is someone you can't travel with. And I think that was my mistake with my friendship, that I knew I couldn't travel with this friend, and I got pressured into it, and I did. And the trip was only like 36 hours, not even 2 days. And we haven't spoken since.
Oh, and it was over like
Yeah.
after the trip.
Yeah, instantly, exactly. Because you're under so much pressure when you're traveling. I'm a very calm traveler, so nothing really phases me out. But my friend would get triggered easily by different things. And I'd respect that and give her her space. But if I wanted my space, I wouldn't get that. And then that would stress her out more. So I think some of us are more comfortable being independent on a trip, you know, doing our own thing. And then others like to do everything with the person they're traveling with. Like literally everything. As in, if you're gonna go down for a minute, they're gonna go down with you. So that could cause a lot of issues, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking now about is just like one kind of phase, is when you're traveling with one of your friends and you start to discover each other all over again. So when it comes into speaking about that point, talking about friendship, I mean, there are great criteria when it comes into you listing it. And I'm very sure after what you've been through within the trip and seeing your friends, you started to understand yourself more and started to put things to find within the friend themselves. Like, for instance, for me, I wouldn't get attached to a friend a lot, is because I understand that everyone has their own pace and mood and everything when it comes alongside to it. But I've seen my friends fighting because they're not getting involved in a certain situation or matter. For instance, we're 6 friends, and
Yes.
even the 6 of us don't really get that really close to each other. There's always these 2 that they really get along, that they know everything about each other. They go outside with each other, they spend time with each other. For me, I'm fine with it. Like, I don't mind having a friend, that 2 friends spending time more than they spend with us. But in the end, you know, we come around together, and this is
Yes.
what the most important thing. Which is vice versa when it comes into the other friends in the group. They felt like threatened, or not wanted. We don't feel that we're actually
Included.
being in the circle. So I do believe that these things really matter to most of people. Like, what do you think about that?
Definitely.
Yes, I agree with you, Hiba. Like the situation you explained, where, you know, especially this frequently happens with a group of friends, being like 6 members or above, and then, you know, you always have this tiny group in a group that has, you know,
A group within a group. Within
yes,
a
that, yeah, exactly. And that
Exactly.
they're, you know, they know everything about each other, and then they go like they go often more like out and stuff like that. So they spend time together, and then when it comes to group gatherings, sometimes they tend to like have their own, you know, space or
Gathering
own
space, yeah.
talks. It's like they're not even including themselves into
Yeah.
this group.
To be fair, I don't do groups no more. I'm done. No, honestly, if it's like 3 is my max, and
Yes.
put in mind I'm hanging out with one person at a time.
Right.
Because it is true, because that happens, and I have that like from uni.
Yes.
Because we were big cliques, like we had huge groups of like 20
Right.
people, and then it kept on shrinking to like 5.
Yes.
But then still within the group, there's another group, and they have their own stories, they have their own things. They've been going out behind my back. No, but honestly, but there's like a whole thing going on, and I'm like, why am I left out? But
Right.
put in mind, right here where I made a decision, this kind of thing, it doesn't really help me. It doesn't really support me in a way. So I'd rather not. I'll just hang out with
Definitely.
one person.
Honestly, I feel like this is universal with groups, right? All around the world. You start out with 100 people and then down to 2 at
Yes,
the end, right?
true.
Just 2 survive this group and end
Yes.
up being best friends forever.
Yeah.
So honestly, I started thinking of it in a very different way. If I'm going to be part of a group, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt by 2 people being closer to each other. I'm not going to have expectations. I'm not going to expect that, we're all equally going to be close to each other, because if you think about it, that is basically impossible.
True.
Because I could get along with Atyab more than getting along with someone else, you know what I mean, in the same group, but I still would genuinely enjoy going out with this group or chilling with them. So I've kind of decided, okay, I can expect those things from the closer people to me. So my close circle of friends, my best friend, my sister, my mom, right? But when it comes to a group setting, I treat them like a group.
That's really
Yes.
smart.
I don't, even if I'm closer to someone in the group, I still treat them like a group. I try to be very open and honest. And I think what creates all these issues in groups is when the little tiny groups in the group start lying to everyone. Like, what? Haven't seen her in 2 days. While they
dramatic.
were,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
just picked
It's a
her
whole
up on the
show.
way to the
Yes,
gathering.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think you just need to think of it in a different way.
It's true.
Definitely.
But how about this? Like, since we were talking about groups and everything, do we have like a criteria of what like a real friend is? What do you look for in a friend?
Well, Fawzia, that's actually really nice. And when you mentioned you're not doing groups anymore, I kind of can relate with this, because ever since university, like you mentioned, I think I stopped like having friends as a group, and it has always been like this one friend, and then like just going with one friend each time. Some of my friends are like, we have mutual friends, but groups are like over now. Like, we're not doing any more. Of group gatherings or anything. Anything more than 3 that's too much.
Right.
much.
Yeah, that's too much. So going back to your question, what I think is like what you can find in a real friend is, not necessarily that you need to talk to her like every day or 24/7, but you need to be there like for each other, or at least listen. I've been through this today, work or anything, like family issues, just talking. Sometimes friends can have the same issues, like you can share the same thoughts, the same problems, and then just being there for each other, just listening. And I think like this is what a friend can do.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I always say that I'm the neutron in each group or situation. It's because I'm actually I fit in different kind of group of friends, and no matter how huge the fight gets on, I always end up finding myself in a different new group to be added and so on. The thing is, as you just said, Rita, I do exactly the same. I don't get really easily emotionally attached when it comes into having friends in groups. Like, I know that within the group of 3, these 2 are actually going out, traveling along together, spending time together. I never ever get, let's say, any kind of, questioning. Am I their friend? Are they cutting me off? Do they want me to be there? I'll just give them the space, because I know in the end there's sometimes that kind of time where they need me, or they need to, say, express about something when it comes into me. And I always seen friendship as more of a way to complete you. Sometimes I sit with Fawzia in order to talk about a certain matter. But sometimes there's another issue, Fawzia won't be helping me in it, Atyab will help me, and so even when it comes into you. So to me, I always find having group of friends is not necessarily to be all the time together, but you actually have a time for each individual in the group, because in the end, we have different personality, different kind of, social life, work, and lots of things. I mean, today we have different, we are connected together in being hosts and being TV presenters. But when it comes into different times, we do have, different friends and different, work. If I'm talking with you about, certain issue when it comes into teaching, you won't get along with me. You won't understand what I'm going through and be like, you know what, she's just feeling over dramatic and feeling that kind of sense. But when it comes into participating with my other colleague as a teacher, we'll get along with each other, you know. So I always feel that when it comes into having a group is that you really get connected in a certain way and matter and situation. I mean, I've been talking a lot and I'm very sure you guys really need a break to think about it. So let's take this break and we'll be back.
So girls, we spoke about different issues we might encounter in groups, but I truly believe there is like green flags and red flags for friendships. I don't think that they're a set rule of green and red flags. I think those differ from each person to another, and what I would accept and expect from a friend is very different from what someone else is willing to deal with or expect, for example. So what do you guys think about that?
Yes, Rita, that's actually true what you said here. And other than that, you know, I couldn't agree with Rita. I couldn't agree more.
To be fair, the red flag and green flag situation is a bit different for me because I don't really see it as a green flag or like a red flag. It's more of the experience with the person, the personality more of. So as you said, like what aligns with me and whatnot. So I met people who were like pretty reckless. They do whatever they want. Like the morals don't align, but at the end of the day, the mindsets they're similar. So what they offer for me is like a safe space to talk about things, and I'm there for them, they're there for me. So I think they offer me the things that I need. So for me, I look at what a friend could offer to me, and does that fill the need? You know what I mean? That's about it, to be fair. But I don't like the sneakiness. To me, that's a red flag. Even though it's like no one likes a sneaky person. I don't like someone who pops their mouth a lot if they talk too much, you know. And then loyalty. If you actually care, you would tell me everything. Be truthful to me. Be there. I think these are the things for me that matters in a person.
Right. Well, to me, I would always say never set expectation from anyone.
True.
Yes.
Always enjoy the time and moment as it is. When it comes into, to me, when it comes into red flags and green flags, I've always seen it through situation. And the most important thing is never, ever, ever having that kind of, let's say, a person who keeps planting that kind of, let's say, dark thoughts and ideas. Like they're going out. Like, hi, Hiba, do you know that they are going out? Like A and B are going out. I was like, okay, but even Z and X are going out, you know? And she'd be like, yeah, but they're going out. You know, that kind of person who calls you and then calls them and calls everyone and then sees what goes around.
To plot some drama.
Yeah,
exactly.
so these kind of, let's say, personalities are very difficult to deal with, though they are very, let's say, vulnerable, but yet they have that kind of control, or let's say of way to actually break groups, you know, and let everyone all out, and sometimes you know, they really trigger that kind of idea. Like, I've never thought of my friend thinking about it in that way, or let's say or presenting herself in a way, and that kind of person I really do try to avoid as much as I can. Like, this is actually happening with me. It's like I get invited to a certain occasion, and then all of a sudden they start asking me about a person, and like I don't talk a lot. Like, I only give them the basic information that they know, and then you notice that they start to neglect you. It's like you're not there, they're ghosting you, and they'd be like talking about their own outing and getaways and how do they spend the time. And even when it comes into, let's say, exploring that kind of relation, they start to say like, oh, remember when I came and your son was doing this? And it's like, yeah, and you'd be left out, you know? You like start to feel like,
I'll be fine there.
Exactly.
No, I keep telling my other friends and cousins, like, if you ever hear me going to A and Z, never ever encourage me to go. Like, just remind me, because I'm of a person that forgets.
You forget.
Like, no matter what happens, I just forget. It's like one call, I'll be always one call away. Like, if if you call me, I'll immediately come, forgetting that this thing happened.
Yeah.
And then it's all flashbacks again when I'm in
Definitely.
the moment.
When you're there and similar things
Yes.
Oh,
start
did I
to
do
happen.
that?
Yeah, I think we can never avoid the red flags when it comes to people, and some things we'll never find out till years later, right? Sometimes you're comfortable with the friend in the beginning, and then you start finding out their actual personality, not what they're trying to show you. But a lot of people, for example, if they saw someone do something terrible to me in a friendship, they would be like, but they treat me okay. That's none of my business.
Right, right.
Do you agree with that? Because my personal experience was whenever I gave those bad people the benefit of the doubt, even like 3-4 years later, it backflashed on me really bad. Yeah, backfired on me, honestly. Something would happen and it would be a very similar situation to what I've initially heard from another person. So what do? Do you judge based on someone's experience, or do you just go with it?
Well, you know, Rita, I had something very similar to what you explained here. Hearing, you know, if I have this one friend and she's been like, we've been good friends, and then I hear something with another friend that she did not treat her very well, and then this certain friend continued to be a good friend with me, I would still have this, you know, doubt, or I don't know if I will be 100% comfortable,
Right.
because I've experienced this myself, but not necessarily like I lost this friend. I'm still friends with this friend, but I can tell, like, as soon as we became friends and then we got the chance to know each other more, she, as a friend, she was a different person. Like, she was a better version of herself, if you can understand me. So she was a better version of herself. And then as our friendship developed, like, not in a 1 month, but like, I'm talking about years, like 5-6 years, so it's a long period of time. I believe, like, her goals have changed and they do not necessarily match my goals, or like, so I feel like this certain friend has changed in a way where we cannot, you know, talk about the same things.
right.
And then I feel like she has had another path to go to, but our friendship started on a very good note, and nothing actually happened. It's just this one friend has changed as a person. And a very similar situation to what you said here, but sometimes I do not know how to deal with such situations. So if you have any advices for this.
To be fair, my situation is kind of a bit similar. It depends if we're actually super close friends or not. If we are super close, then you need to tell me what's going on. I need to know what's going on. I need to hear both parties,
Right.
because I'm not dumping one person for the other person. We're all connected. We're all here for each other. So I need to hear both stories. I need to know what can I do to align myself. Do I need to step in or not? And I have to understand also their perspective, if that is gonna, you know, end up messing up our friendship or not. So it's more of talking things through from both parties.
Understand.
If it's the third person, it's more of, I know I had a whole friendship end up because of that.
Right.
No, I really
Yeah.
did, because like I had a person that I just knew it wasn't anything serious. But my friend, she was super close to her and she was close to me. She fought with her, and I was like, I respect her, she respects me, there's nothing between. So why would I end a whole friendship because of you? Both of the friendships, they ended. And I wasn't hurt about it. I'm like, for me, if I'm in the wrong, tell me I'm in the wrong. Bless you.
Thank
Yeah.
You know? But that's about it. So for me, just tell me if I'm in the wrong, I'll do whatever it takes. But if that situation, I'm like, I really don't care at this point.
Exactly.
But just talk things out. Don't be childish about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
To be honest, I like to always confront everyone. Like, if you tell me something, I immediately would go and confront the other person, and then they'd be like justifying what's going on, and then I go back again to justify everything for the other person. I don't like to be that kind of, let's say, person who listens to a kind of situation and never try to fix it or try to know what's going on. As again, I'm saying it again, I'm a neutron in the relationship, so I don't have hold grudges. I don't have any kind of, let's say, like, I don't lean towards one another, but I always like to have my friends all together and let them all be equalized with each other. But the thing is, you do see and feel that both of them wants this to end in a way that they would never want it to be fixed or don't want
True.
it to be heard. So you'd be like, why should I bother to be in in the middle between two personalities who actually wants to end this friendship?
Exactly.
You know, and then that's it. Like, you want to end it, it's fine, as long as
Definitely.
you're not really getting that kind of being affected in a way emotionally. Because you know what? Sometimes you really get attached to your friends that you actually feel that they're part of the family.
Right.
Seeing them more, being with them frequently, and then suddenly both of them are not being there could actually even let's say end up having that kind of, let's say, hole where you actually feel that you're empty. You want to
Yes.
fill it with that kind of, let's say, experience that you've been through, because we spend time together, we go out together, we even, I mean, we go to the movies together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, girls, we've been talking a lot about friendships, so let's go ahead and take this break and we will be back.
So when it comes into friends and having that kind of relationship, like I still have that kind of connection with most of my friends in high school. Like, we used to only be five, so five of them are actually there when it comes into social media. Though we don't see each other in live, but we do actually feel connected and close to each other without actually seeing each other, which is something very interesting in a way, you know, because people would say face-to-face communication is better, reconnecting all again is great, but to me, I mean, having that kind of relationship, seeing them and talking to them through social media platform is actually even a really easy way to feel that kind of connection and connecting everything towards the past. Like, tell us about
That's
that kind
so
of
true.
experience.
There's people I see every single day, but there's a guard up, or there's a certain personality that they're getting. They're not getting the authentic me. And then there's friends that I've had forever. You know, they might have moved somewhere else to another country. I talk to them maybe every few months once, or like when it's someone's birthday, you know, but at the same time, I'm the most comfortable around them. Like, if they called and they're like, oh, we just got to Kuwait, can I stay over? They could come in the house just then and there. I wouldn't have to go and, you know, fix my closet, get the clothes off of that chair that have been there for a month.
right.
You know, I'm gonna be just comfortable and authentic in front of them, to be honest. So I truly believe it's about the friendship, but I think friendships do end. We do drift away from a lot of our friends. Have you drifted away from friends? Was it on purpose? Was it organic?
Well, going back to what you said about drifting away, I've experienced this especially with friends in high school, because it's been like a while, you know, even going into a certain university, and then most of the girls in high school decided to go to somewhere else. And this, what I believe being the main reason where you're not, I'm not seeing them this frequent or this often, or we don't share the same major, or let's say same issues, you know, being in university these days and, you know, going to class and hanging out afterwards, and then not being there, you know, not being in the picture because you're not in the same place or same workplace or same university. At least this is what happened with me. We drifted away, just not on purpose, but this was, you know, the reason of just not being there.
Definitely.
To be fair, from my side, I do believe there's some friendships that are meant to end.
Right.
I think they serve the purpose. You got to know each other. It's just like they're there for a reason, but then that's it. There's like an end of the tunnel.
You made great memories, and
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely.
Take the memories and leave.
It's true, no, honestly. And to be fair, some friends I did leave on purpose. And maybe I am the problem. No, but honestly, because I do believe that, you know, I love some friends from like high school, some people from England, some friends even in here in Kuwait. But the thing is, people change, people grow, and
That's
I'm learning
right.
so much, and I am changing. My mindset is changing. So for me, I know I wouldn't align with a person. I know that it has to come to an end because I wouldn't feel comfortable. I would have to restrict myself and set boundaries for myself. So I'm like, what's the point of that? But there's so much beauty of also meeting new people. You will end up with some solid friends, which what I have, I'm grateful for that. But some people I met, like, you know, at work, literally like a year ago, and I'm obsessed with my friend. She's really lovely and she's there. So I think it's organic. Sometimes I do leave people for the sake of like growing, and
Right.
sometimes you just meet people. So I'm not really. There's nothing fixed.
So let me tell you the story. So I had this friend since KG, and we were apart because we've shifted from an area to an area. And when I finally came to my workplace, one of the schools, and we end up being in the same school. It was very funny because we've never seen each other for ages. And then suddenly we saw each other, and all of that kind of memory came back, and it's like, oh, hello, and you know, that kind of feeling. And we keep telling our students, like, we're friends from kindergarten. And
That's amazing.
what's really interesting is that we saw each other, and my cousin is actually a friend of her friends. Therefore, they became really close friends.
That's crazy.
So can you imagine that my KG friend is actually one of the best friends of my cousin, which I've never thought that could actually happen. Like she used to talk about her, but I never matched, like, even when it comes into the name, like it's actually rare, like Elia, like I never thought that she is actually the same person until we met each other at school, and we're like, what, you're friend with my cousin? How is that possible?
Wow.
But yet, you know, though we saw each other, though we, let's say, drifted away and then we're back again, but we do have that kind of connection when we see each other at school, gossiping, talking, spreading, let's say, that kind of, let's say, friendship, you know, intimacy. And then being also part of my cousin's group and friends is actually really interesting, you know. It's a kind of a way of a story, like how actually friendships do actually drift, but yet again, it always find that kind of way to go back each other.
I think that's the best thing, but at the age we're at now, sorry to bring up age, okay, I feel like drifting away from friends is way easier than it is then to make friends, right? Because as you mentioned, we start growing, our friends start growing, we might not align, not comfortable with the new personalities. I think making friends is harder because now we know what we accept, what we like, what we don't like in a friend. I personally know that it's really hard for me to make friends now. And even if I do, I'm worried, to be honest.
Yes. I can
Why?
agree.
Why though you're worried?
You need to trust people, you
True.
know?
Building
There's
trust
a
is
lot
tough.
of
Plus,
people.
you've been talking about 10 years that you've lost. Like,
Exactly.
come on, I don't want to
Yes.
lose another 10 years.
I don't want to waste that much time
To
again.
be fair, no, I don't even look at it that way because even though I lost 10 years, but it's not lost. I had the best memories with her, and I still, if anyone asks about her, I always say good things about her because I
Right.
love her so much to my core. So I might be devastated with the moment, but I'm so grateful for the friendship that I had. That built me
Definitely.
so much. But making friends at this age, and the older you get, it gets worse.
Yes.
Harder.
It's so tough, but I found out like girls, they tend to thrive in communities, girl communities. So you might be able to make friends like with communities. So if you go to the gym, for
Definitely.
example, you know, the gym that we go to, you just
We're all
have the good
friends.
community. Yes, you're all friends. And you not necessarily, you don't need a best friend, but at least like a gym
buddy,
friend.
yeah.
Yeah, and you
Definitely.
reach to a point where you actually you stop to socialize. You become antisocial. You know that kind of moment.
too
Like I
tired.
do
Yes.
enter that phase. Like if someone smiles at me, it's like. Okay, I should not really give them back that smile because that will integrate that it's fine for them to talk to me. And you know, it's not really,
Right.
I think it's because of that kind of, let's say, moment where you reach to a point, in, as you just said, an age that you start to become the opposite of yourself. If you're antisocial, be social. If you're social, be
Definitely.
antisocial. And I don't know, I'm like in that kind of phase, like, yeah, okay.
Exactly. I feel like we don't have as much energy. So when we were teenagers, we would fall asleep talking to our friend on the phone.
right.
Yeah,
Just
true.
because she left the house and she had a story to tell us, that story could go on for 3-4 hours and we're more than happy.
Truly.
Right now, if you're on the phone with me for more than 5 minutes, I'm angry, I'm annoyed, I cannot stand that you're taking, you know, time out of my life. I have, you know,
It's a
errands
lot.
to
Yeah.
run.
That's why
I'm
you're
running
not
around.
responding to my voice messages.
I was
Because
getting
they're
ready.
over 5 minutes. Okay.
They're over 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I have to talk a lot about everything in one voice. Like, I don't like to send a lot of voice, but I mean, we're talking a lot.
yes.
We've been spending that kind of moments. We're sharing moments, of course, with everyone. So I think that's it for today. How about that? And I'll talk with you about not
The voice
responding
notes
to my
later.
voice messages.